Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus. We're here for retail sales, PPI, unemployment claims, Empire State Manufacturing, Philly Fed. It's a mouthful. My name is Lee Goldstein, Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. It is possible to lose money trading futures. Please trade carefully. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the Trade Room and welcome to a potentially very interesting set of reports. We have a lot of events, and you can see all the different events that are going to be released. We've got PPI, we've got U.S. retail sales, initial jobless claims. Those are three very important reports. We also have the New York Empire State Manufacturing and Philly Fed Manufacturing. Those are specialized Fed reports, what's the one? Richmond Manufacturing that always comes out early. All right. Now, U.S. retail sales, very important. PPI, very important. And jobless claims are important also, but not nearly as important as retail and PPI. So, how do you trade events that don't often trade the same way? So we definitely have a situation here today where I can't a long time since we've had this many reports trading at once. So what's interesting is a couple of things happen when we have all these events trading at once. What you normally expect is the most incredible, crazy volatility you've ever seen. That's the first gut reaction to expect. But I would say that over and over, we have seen not as much volatility as we expect when there's this many reports. We've seen it happen over and over. It just is the way it is. The biggest problem that faces us when we have this many reports is we don't really have a test, a perfect setup test. In other words, the way we do our testing is we take retail sales every month and we look at the event, we look at how much it moves, we look at various instruments to see how much they move, and we come up with a setup based upon that analysis. Well, we don't always get retail sales trading with PPI. In fact, it's occasional. It's not a regular happening. So it's very hard to come up with a perfect setup for retail sales and PPI, then throw in unemployment, Philly Fed, and Empire State, and you have a soup of unknown ingredients, which creates a bit of uncertainty in what the setup should be. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that we have a perfect setup. We don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. But there is some history on this report with retail sales and PPI. Also, we have had a shrinking of the movement during retail sales as of late. Let's take a look at the DMM. That's the first thing we'll take a look at. If you notice, the last three retail sales have not hit our tiers. So under normal circumstances, we would shrink this setup. But when you add PPI in, then we don't shrink. Okay? The truth is, we'd been doing 55 to 70 on most PPIs and most retails. If this was retail by itself, I would not be jumping into shrinkage. shrinking the tiers. I would not be jumping into it. What's the worst thing that happens if you get the setup wrong on a trap trade? Obviously, the worst thing that ever happens is you have a stop out. Nobody wants a stop out. But after that, that's a given that the worst thing that could ever happen is a stop out. But forgetting that for a moment, what's the worst thing that could happen? You don't get filled, right? I mean, I would rather, we say this all the time, rather not get filled than get stopped out. So generally, we will err on the side of carefulness and use big brackets. But you don't want to use brackets that are so big that you never get filled. Okay? So we're using big brackets. They're certainly not small on this event, but I think they're big enough that will get filled. And we also have a nice zone of safety. What's the second bracket plus the stop? That equals the zone of safety. If our outer bracket is 67 ticks and our stop is 25 ticks, then we have 92 ticks of safety. If the reports don't burst or move 92 ticks, then we have a chance to get a reversal, right? Yes. The worry is that the news is going to be so good on retail sales and so good on inflation that we'll get stopped out because it'll push gold, which is our trap trade. It'll push gold beyond 100 ticks or so, and that could stop us out. That's the risk. If you want to lower your risk, you can trade just the outer tier. If you want to lower your risk even more, you can trade micro gold. If you want, also, you can trade the MNQ breakout. Also, there's a ZF breakout for cash traders. If you don't, MNQ also not bad for cash traders because look, margins are up on this report without a doubt. Brokers are raising margins. A lot of people in their cash accounts, they don't have that much money because, why put tons of money in a trading account if you don't have to? Um, but when margins are up, you need more cash to cover the amount required to trade. So the MNQ can often be a very good breakout for cash or prop. ZF, you can't trade in prop. Most prop accounts don't trade bonds. Um, this is the kind of report that you can get a breakout for all. What's a breakout for all? It's an event where any instrument that you might look at had a good profitable breakout. We call that a breakout for all. On PPI, we had no fill in April, but we had a nice MNQ move. In March, we used a very, very, very big trap because of volatility and we didn't get a fill. And then in February, we had a very small, fast profit or a stop on the trap. So this report has not been easy to trade lately. It's complicated by all of the special events that are taking place. But personally, for me, I'm willing to blow up a prop account on this report. That's the risk. When I agree to take the trade and I press the button to use full size gold on a trap trade, I'm accepting the amount of risk that's possible in this trade, and that could seriously damage one of my prop accounts. Okay? I'm willing to take that risk. I will trade full size gold on this report because I'm willing. I mean, my life isn't going to end if I damage a prop account, an eval. I'm not trading my Apex account on this at the moment. All right. MNQ might be possible for the Apex account. The worry on breakouts for this report is data feed integrity, right? Not getting freezing, not getting bad behavior. With trap trades, generally you don't get those problems because you're trading in the opposite direction. What's the definition of a trap trade? It's an opposite direction trade. It's a specialized reversal trade. When the market is going up, we're going to go in the opposite direction. So generally, you don't have the same liquidity data feed problems that you might have in a very fast breakout. So it's another reason I like traps on certain fast moving events. So that's my initial analysis of this setup today. And I'm going to set up my gold trap trade. Yeah, Charles, I passed an Apex eval trading. Look, in evals, they let you trade any way you want. The rules are a little bit tighter once you pass. But people are trading news and getting paid. We see it all the time. So you can trade news. And it's been that way for quite a while now. Anyway, let's set up a trap on gold the way I'm going to do it, right on the pretty much the DMM. I'm going to trigger at 829.55. And like I said, I totally accept whatever happens on this trade. I want to thank everyone on YouTube for watching us. We have a nice group of people watching us on YouTube. I think we've had 3 winners in a row on YouTube, at least 2, I'm positive. I forget the third. Anyway, position size 1 is a 1, position size 2 is a 1. That means each tier has 1 contract, and the stop is 25. Tier 1 is 48. Tier 2, 67. And I'm labeling it Trap GC. I will trade this in the account that I lost some money in yesterday and today. Australia, I lost some money last night. Made a few dollars back this morning, not much. But I'll still trade that same account, see if we can't build it back up before it's too late. So that was number 12. Bullinox, however you pronounce it. I don't even know how to pronounce it anymore. Just that alone makes me nuts that it has such a ridiculous name. But it is the way it is. 1 minute remaining. Canadian house starts are coming out now. All right, so anybody have any question about the trap trade setup? Very straight ahead. 829.55 on the trigger time. 1 position for each tier. The stop is 25, and I'm using tiers of 48 and 67. Okay, so if the market moves 48 ticks, my first order gets entered in. If it moves more than that and goes another up to 67 ticks, then I have a second order that gets filled. I'd love to see 2 orders get filled, and I'd love to see a fantastic reversal. That's what I'd love to see. Second event, MNQ. MNQ can be very good on these types of trades. 0625 is the instrument. And the setup is as follows. Right-click the chart, click on strategy, click news trader. It's a breakout trade. We're triggering at 829.58. The bracket is 75. So look, if there's not a big move today, which sometimes on these very volatile, you're thinking you're going to be real volatile, sometimes we don't get the move at all. So we're expecting volatility. That's what I am expecting, but you never know. It might not be nearly as volatile as we think. So we've got targets anywhere between 25 and 200. Okay, we have seen 300 tick moves on this event with the MNQ. Don't be greedy though, because it will move, it will reverse and chop. And if you're too greedy, you could turn a winner into a loser. You don't want to do that. So be prepared to manage the trade if you use a big second target. Okay. And then target one stop move. I would make it like a BE minus 6 or 7 or 8, somewhere in there. The stop is 150. It's only 50 cents a tick. Trading the MNQ is not that big a deal. Nitin makes a very good point. It's absolutely true, Nitin, because I did not look last night. I didn't do a deep dive on that Australia trade to see if it reversed. I'm going to do that today. It looked like a great move on Australia jobs last night, but it was an immediate stop on the breakout, the winner. The trap was a very small winner because the news was phenomenal. They had 80,000 jobs created when they were expecting 20. That was fantastic news, and it created a gigantic burst. What I didn't look at, Nitin, because it was late and I was tired, I didn't analyze why it was stopped out, whether it was the data feed or and just a really bad fill, or if it was a reversal, which sometimes happens. Sometimes it's not the data feed. So I'll look at that after this report, probably just to see. Um, but I was extremely disappointed because it looked like a great move. Anyway, but I agree with you in the sense what Nitin is saying, that it's not just Bullinox. Most of the prop accounts that we've been using struggle on breakouts. Apex struggles on breakouts. The data feeds, are they overloaded with users? I don't know. I don't know. And I've tried Tradeovate and we've tried Rhythmic. It doesn't really seem to make much difference. 829.58 on our MNQ, bracket of 75, 24 orders anywhere between 25 and 200, right? Break even minus 7, target one stop move, 150 tick stop on the MNQ. You can even go 200 on the MNQ. Breakout MNQ. The question is, what account to trade this in? I'm going to trade this in a good Bullinox account, one that's half funded, halfway to being funded. Account number 13. And one more time, 829.58, bracket of 75, targets anywhere between 20 and 150-ish, 200. Don't be greedy though. Stop of 150, target one stop move BE minus 7. Trading it in prop, accepting risk. Frozen charts possible. Everybody knows the reality. If you've been here. Now let's set our breakout. Look at the size of the brackets by setting the brackets in sim first and making the times 0, just so we can test the bracket width. The greatest result we could get, I think, would be if the news is exactly as expected. If the news is exactly as expected, that might create a little bit of uncertainty in the market, and that might cause chop. What we want is big chop, big chop for the trap trade to work. Okay, we want chop chop. 829.58. We want to be chopped. We want a whipsaw. That's what you want for a trap to work. We want a whip on gold. We want a great move on the MNQ. All right? That's how you look at it. That's the way you want to look at it. We want gold to whip. All right, so I checked my brackets. Brian, I agree that 6C is unbelievably low volume in general. So our MNQ breakout is ready to go. Our gold is getting ready to test the new high on the gold open. Gold just opened at 820, a very nice open also. Tempted to trade, take a long in gold before the news. Okay, here's our gold trap. I don't need to check brackets, all right? So gold, let's make sure we're on our instruments, we're set. I would almost prefer for gold to test the high before the news. I love trading micro gold. I'm going to set up an extra chart just because I can. And I'm going to do MGC 0625. It's going to be blocked initially by the news, but we'll have the chart available for trading. And I'm going to set up a reverse continuation. I'm going to do it on gold also. Reverse continue, and I'm going to trade 2 contracts, 1 position. I'm going to go for 50 ticks on my target, 50 ticks on my stop, 60 ticks on my stop. It's micro gold. I'm just going to label it GC, MGC, REV, MGC, REV, and I'll put that on my Apex account. That's a discretionary trade. If I decide to do it, that'll be on Apex. If there's an opportunity, I might take it. The news, we'll keep the news down here so we can see a possible trade here. All right. So we've got right now 3 trades set up. I'd like to set up one more, a reverse continuation on my main trap trade gold chart. May not need it, but I'm going to add that strategy, gold. This will be full size gold, just 1 position. We'll go for a 50 tick target, a 50 tick stop. That's a $500 risk. Obviously, if you get your stop into safety, you're going to shrink it. The goal would be to shrink the stop, not to have a 50 tick stop for the whole trade. That's not the way to do it. So reverse continue, 1 position, 1 contract, 50 target, 50 stop. Same chart as the trap trade, labeling it GC, REV, REV. It could be a continuation, you never know. And that's in account number 12. Same as the trap trade. So now I'll go through and I'll just check my chart trader, make sure I'm on the right charts. Otherwise, you don't see your orders. My MNQ should be on 13, and it is. And then my MGC is on Apex. The beauty of all these discretionary trades, you don't have to take any of them if you don't feel the moment is right. Now, when we got ready to do this trap trade, we did our testing and we created our spike sheet. And when you look at the spike sheet, what does the spike sheet tell us? It tells us in February we probably would have gotten stopped out on the trap trade because it moved over 105 ticks. But no other trade in more than a year has moved enough on the news result to stop us out immediately. Okay? So the trap trade, even with retail sales and PPI together, which it's done a few times over the years, has been safe with the setup that we're using right now. Okay? So keep that in mind. It has been safe with the setup we're using right now. Remember, if you want to cancel a trap trade, you must cancel it in the control panel. Don't just click on the X of an order because it won't cancel the trade. It'll just cancel that order. Okay? Most other trades, you can click the X's that show up on the screen and that cancels the trade. On a trap trade, at the top of the chart, you have your trap trade buttons. Break even. Move the stop to break even plus a tick. Close the trade. Adjust. We don't use adjust right now. If you watch the video on our website about trap trade previous version, you'll learn about adjust. Cancel the outer tier, a very important button. If in a trap trade, it just fills order number one and you get a great reversal and you want to get your stop into safety. Moving a stop into safety means moving your stop above break even into a profitable area. If you only get one order filled, the stop, your other order, the second order will be in the way of the stop. And it will generate an error if you move your stop on the wrong side of orders. So you must cancel the outer tier if that happens. I will speak the trap trade out loud. I try to anyway. I will try to speak the trap trade out loud because I realize that out of all the setups we have, people are sometimes struggle with the trap trade. And the trap trade can be scary because you could get your orders filled and you don't get your reversal immediately. And then you kind of feel like you're naked in the middle of the road without any clothes on. That's what a trap trade can feel like when your tiers get filled and it hasn't reversed yet. So it's something to keep in mind. Don't panic just because it doesn't reverse instantly. You don't cancel a trap trade by Xing out an order. You have to cancel it by closing it with the close button before it executes, or just click the checkbox. Clicking the checkbox or the cancel now button, right? I like to click the X box, that box with the check in it, because that's the absolute guaranteed safest way to cancel a trade. All right. Thirty seconds. I think retail sales are going to be really good. Somehow the consumer spends money no matter what. I think the earth could be falling off its axis and people would still be shopping. It's insanity. Myself included. Our orders are going to show up now. 1 second. Spread them a little bit so you can manage the trade. Okay, the NQ hit target 1 and reversed for a tiny profit. Trap trade not moving enough. It looks like it wants to fill and it didn't fill. Do you want to force the fill by shrinking the tier? Only allow a short trade on gold. Do not allow it to go down and fill you long now, because the initial move is an up move. It's an up move. I'll give it a minute to fill. It missed the fill by just a couple of ticks. Couple of ticks. I think I want to get filled. I'm not dying to get filled. All the news is negative, which could push gold up. But look, it's not. It pushed it up initially. Our tiers, even though we shrunk them, they were still too darn big. Too darn big. Too darn big. Canceled the MNQ breakout. That was for me, it was a target one. You got to cancel the trap because it didn't fill, and that happens. Remember what I said? It was not as volatile as we thought. Canceling the trap just didn't get the fill. So now we have our reverse continuations. When you look at the news, PPI was year over year was as expected. Month over month was way down, way down, way down. That looks to me like we're going to have MNQ markets going up, trying to put on a reverse continuation on the MNQ really fast. To enter into a trade, apply it, okay it. I don't know if I can get this set up. MNQ, where is it? Right there. Taking a long in the MNQ. Expanding my second target. Dropping my stop a little bit, not a lot. I'm going to try and trail this. And I'm going to expand my target. This is tremendously good news, it looks like to me. Going to try and trail my MNQ as the market goes up if it continues. Okay, it's moving. Bottom of the candle. See if we could stay, how long we could stay alive in this MNQ trade. Okay, trailing halfway up the candle. Keep trailing as the price keeps going up. Trailing more. Trailing more. Wow. Now I've expanded my charts so they're looking even bigger, but I'm going to keep trailing. Expanding my target again. Still trailing. All right, it grabbed me. So I made about, I don't know, 80 bucks on the MNQ. Micros are enough to drive you crazy sometimes, right? Enough to drive you crazy. Micros. I would expect so. Very, very good news. The PPI was way down, way down, way down. I don't think anybody really believes this. It's a whole load of false data. We know that inflation is not down. It's not. But they can do whatever they want with the numbers. We're going to trade what the numbers show us, right? YM, right, would have also been a possibility on this report. Doc, I didn't look at your winning screenshot yet. Doc, PPI, retail. So we'll look at the video in a minute. The reality is, nice little trade, Doc. The MNQ on the burst hit the first target and pulled back. If you just left your stop in place and didn't move it into safety, then you could have stayed in the report, okay? You could have stayed in the report, in the trade, because the stop was 150 and it did not get challenged, all right? I would be careful with gold. Gold, it's going up, but often it goes in the opposite direction of the market. over the past year, though, we've seen gold agree with the market a lot as well. So it can be very tricky to trade during and after news at times. Now, I think Powell is going to start talking in a few minutes, so we're going to stick around for Powell. I want to thank everyone on YouTube. So, most anyone who traded made money on this report. We're getting reports in on the web on our trade room. Ray made 90 on the MNQ. He's up money on the bonds. Ian made 140 profit on his eval. Doc made 290. Calvin, I'm not seeing what Calvin. Roz canceled. Um, all right. Now the market's pulling back a little bit. I do want to thank everybody. This is our last stream of the week on YouTube. Hit the like button if you would. We streamed 3 times this week. And thank you for joining us on YouTube. We'll see you next week. So I'm going to close out the stream. We'll see you next time.